Hi guys, and today we will be looking at this Bachmann Lms Ivatt 4Mt locomotive, and this one is a pretty old tooled locomotive by the looks of it. It has no pickups, but yeah, we'll get in and see what it's all about. I think I paid something like £75 from eBay. It comes in a polystyrene packaging along with the old style Bachmann packaging as well. It's pretty old. So anyway, we'll get into it and see what it's all about, and is it really worth the money, and does it need a retool? Starting off at the detail bag, it is quite a small detail bag, but you get quite a lot in there. You get the doors that go on the end of the cab, which is nice. We also get some steps to go at the front of the locomotive, I believe. They are quite fine steps. We also have some vacuum pipes or air pipes as well. We have some other stuff there too. There's also looks like an injector type thing. Not sure what they are for. I looked in the instructions and it doesn't tell me where they go, but they're there anyway. If someone could tell me what they are, that'd be great. Thank you. As we move on to the front of the locomotive, the front of the locomotive does have a small tension lock coupling already applied. Looks like we also have some irons to knock stuff off the tracks. We also have some metal sprung buffers, and they're quite easily sprung as well. We do have a few holes on the buffer beam for detail parts. We also have a black hook as well. The buffer beam and housing are in red. We also have some rivets to go with that too. And there's some sort of code on that which I can't read from here. I think it says 4MT, if I've got that correct. Moving up, we do have 3 lamp irons in the usual places. And then it gets a little odd. There's a step and then there's a gap. For this locomotive, how it was designed, that is there as well. We have some bracing too. Smoke box door, we do have a separately applied dart, and we also have the number of the locomotive, which is 43038, and we also have the shed code, which I think is 55B. Stoughton or York, I can't work out which one it is, but they're the two I've come up with. We also have a small handrail, and then we have a lamp iron at the top. As we move on to the side of the locomotive, both sides of the locomotive are exactly the same, apart from this side has some different detail to the other side. As you can tell, this is an Ivatt design of locomotive, and the wheel configuration is a 260, which makes it a mogul, I believe. We do have some metal rods and also some plastic stuff there as well. I think it's the steam chest that does have some lining on it, red, black and red, if I've got that correct. We also have an air gap between the chassis and the loco, which is correct, it is nice. This does have American feel, this locomotive. Moving up, we also have the lining of the locomotive on the boiler, which is BR black with red, black and red lining, which doesn't look too bad actually. We also have a reverser, which I think is a plastic rod, but it's there anyway. We do have a reverser. We also have some more piping around this side as well. Around the other side, it's just that thin handrail that you can see that curves around the end near the smoke box door. Moving on to the cab is glazed. We do have the number of the locomotive, which is 43038, and we have the class, which is a 4, and then that has a box of lining as well, which is white, black and red, I think, something like that. Does look nice. As we move on to the area everyone looks forward to in a review, and that is the cab area itself. Bachmann have let us down on this cab area itself. It has all the stuff inside there moulded, but nothing in there is painted. Bachmann have gone to the trouble of glazing the cab, which is a nice touch. Moving on to the tender, we do have tender buffers. We also have a few moulded bits and a chute as well. We do have handrails on the cab and tender. And on the back of the tender, you can also see some more glazing. There also is a hood going from the tender to the locomotive as well. As we move on to the side of the tender, the side of the tender is in black like the locomotive. We can see that hood and glazing a bit more, if I want to call it. We do have some handrails either side of the tender, front and back. There's quite a lot of rivets if you look closely on this tender as well. We do have the early crest BR, which I quite like that one actually, with some lining which I think is white, black and red, if I've got that correct. It's not too bad. Moving down to the axle boxes and supports, They're all moulded, but I don't mind that if I'm honest with you, it keeps the money down. We also have some steps as well at the front of the tender too. As we move on to the back of the tender, we do have a small tension lock coupling at the back here as well. We do have some sprung buffers again at the front. We also have a few holes here for the detail. There's a few rivets on the buffer beam as well. We have a hook in black which looks like to be separately applied, but then it could be moulded. It's really goodly done. We also have the buffer beam and housing in red. Moving up, we do have 3 lamp irons which could be moulded by the looks of it. Then we have one in the centre of the tender. We do have a ladder going up as well. We have 2 handrails either side of the tender, and we have a handrail at the top as well. There's no plaques or anything on here to say how much water or coal this one can have. I think this must have been an early model. As we do a bird's eye view on top of the tender, you do see some handrails that I mentioned as well. There also is a water filler cap there as well, and then we also have a dome. Top of the tender is in black like all of the locomotive. You can also see some rivets as well. Moving across, we do have a coal load which is removable, and going by a diagram, it could either be die cast or plastic, just slots in there. And you can also see the hood that I mentioned before as well. As we do a bird's eye view on top of the locomotive at this time, there is some rivets and a moulded vent on top of the cab. The cab roof is in black. Moving across a bit more, we do have some pipe work which looks to be separately applied, but it's not painted, it is there. Mixed in that, we have a whistle, and the safety valves are next to it. It's quite nice. I believe the safety valves and whistles are metal. Moving across, we have the lining of the locomotive, which is red, black and red. We also have some handrails. We have a dome, top feeder I want to call it. I believe that's what it is. Moving across, then we also have the double chimney that is fitted to this locomotive. The chimney doesn't look too bad if I'm honest with you, and then we have the buffers. As we do an underneath look at the locomotive does have a small tension lock coupling, which is always nice. All the wheels, axles are metal, which is fantastic. We do have at least 2 or 3 screws to take off the base plate, and I think there's 2 screws to take off the body, which is one on the coupling and one at the back near the cab from the diagram, what I can see. The brake rigging's already been added by the factory, which is a fantastic touch. Something tells me that this is probably going to be hardwired, so it's going to be a pain when you take the base plate off. All 6 driving wheels do have pickups, and there's some more underframe detail near the cab as well that I forgot to mention. And finally, as we move across to the loco and tender connection, the loco and tender connection is a pure simple one. There's no plug or wires or anything like that. There is a metal bar with 2 holes, and then on the tender there's a little stump, and you put it through whichever hole you want. I think the one nearest the cab is the close coupling one, if that's what you want to go for. Just make sure you've got no tight curbs or anything like that, because I think it will derail. We do have the brake rigging already applied. We do have metal wheels and axles as well, and there is a water scoop as well, and there's a small tension lock coupling at the end. This locomotive is DTC ready. Guessing it's in the locomotive in that case. So next up will be the usual second radius and points test. Like I said before, some of my Bachmann locomotives don't like second radius, even though it says they can do it. But so they're up next. Anyway, let's see how they get on, shall we? What we out there? What, 21? It's not too bad for a loco with no pickups and, well, analog basically. 21 isn't too bad. I quite enjoy it. So yeah, it managed that pretty well. Quite surprised actually with the points test with no pickups, and it managed second radius pretty easy as well. So next up will be some slow speed, and then we'll find it a train, and I'll see you at the end. Again, 20. Still not bad for analog, and no, like I said, no pickups in the tender. So yeah guys, that's the end of the running session. Before I give my opinion on this locomotive, I'll show you what it ran with, which you probably can guess by now. Just some vent vans or box vans, whatever you want to call them. A mixture there. We got Sir Winston Churchill's funeral car. I know it's southern, but it's there. We have an LNWR baggage car from Hornby. We have the Only Fools. There's the Rolls of Sheffield one. Some beer. Burton beer, may I add. Some biscuits, some fish, some more cereal. I didn't know what to run with it, so I thought just a random freight really, something different, and going tender first. So my opinion on this locomotive, I think I paid a reasonable price for it. I have had it, what, four years? And like I said, I paid between 70 and 80, I believe. So yeah, I think I paid a reasonable price. It does need a retool. There's a few, shall I say, modern day features missing that it could do with, even if Bachmann were lazy and just decided to put tender pickups in there. That would be great. Personally, doesn't need it. It managed my points pretty well. Did struggle on some of my gradients though, because my boards, if you can't tell, is slightly sloped. The legs are shorter at one end than the other. It could do for retool. I hope someone does, because it's a nice looking loco. A little bit odd, but it's a nice looking loco. Just could do a modern day touch, that's all. Highly recommend these at the right price if they're your cup of tea. So anyway guys, that's the end of the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one, so please take care.